Review, discuss, and sign the warrant for 2024 special town meeting.
Does that need a motion?
It does not. I just need a signed warrant so I can properly post it before the meeting. And the supervisor, the checklist are all on board because they have to have a session. I think they're having a session on June 4th. And the town clerk tax collector knows because she has to take the minutes of it, and the moderator knows, so everybody's on board. We're good to go. Yep.
At Alkali, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
I checked with them all first to make sure that, because you gave me 2 dates last time, June 26th or July 10th, I think.
Yeah.
And I checked with them all first, and they were all available on the 26th. The supervisors do have to have a session before that, and Sandy has to do the minutes. Ed runs the meeting. It's going to be a short meeting, and there's really nothing else we can do but just.
We're gonna fit in here. Because the
I think we have to-
supervisors have to be here too. And
Yeah, but they
Sandy
can sit
and
right
Ed.
out at the table and just check in people.
I think at the last meeting, we figured if it becomes too crowded here, we just move out
Okay.
there.
All right.
I think it's pretty,
Yeah,
it's gonna be pretty quiet, but
okay.
we can play by ear that night. I'll set up a table and some chairs just in case.
All right, F, review and discuss whether the Board of Selectmen should request that the planning board review its definitions specifically with regards to possibly defining a shed versus residential structure.
So this kinda, I think, came up as part of, this issue we're gonna be dealing with tonight. I went through a couple other towns and looked for definitions of like houses but they don't define it. So I don't know if
It
it's
should be easy enough to define.
I don't know if it's a good idea, if it helps to define like a shed versus a cabin or versus a tiny home, or if it's just, you wanna, I don't know. I mean, I at least think you might wanna ask Jim as your representative to the planning board to have a chat with the planning board about, hey, should we tighten up some definitions? Would it help?
Well, I watched their meeting last week, okay, all 11 minutes of it. Okay?
Yeah.
We're paying a lot of money to everybody that shows up that just for, between video and everything else. I would think that they should be looking at site plan and
Yeah.
subdivision and
Well, this
that
is-
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Even like the ADU and stuff, those definitions might change at the state, so they should periodically be looking at those as part of the zoning
And
ordinance.
also update with the legislation that has passed over the last 2 or 3 years, or since the last time it was done. Hasn't been done since probably about 2020.
That was 2020.
Well, I think we can certainly ask if they do the definition for the shed before we push anything out.
Yeah.
Just because it would help us.
Yeah.
Okay. Review, discuss, and adopt the 2024 updated local hazard mitigation plan as approved by FEMA.
I'd move to table that until one of the next meetings. I haven't had a chance to look through that
I
stuff.
second that. That's a lot of reading. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'll just tell you that I've already gotten the first table to update to the emergency operations plan, so you don't want to hold up on the local hazard mitigation plan too long, or then you're going to be approving that and reviewing the
Well, let's
EOP at the same time.
Do it for sure next meeting.
Okay.
Town administrator report.
So I am off next Wednesday for my husband's surgery, but I'm going to be in the office on Memorial Day to get the payroll out, and just so you know. And I've posted on the website and on the front door that the office will be closed on Wednesday. She'll still, the town clerk tax collector will be here, but my office will be closed.
Okay.
And then I think I talked to you a little bit. So the first issue, tax bills, the assessor is cleaning up the last of the pickups. And he was going to look at data entry and make sure he's entered everything, because we had a couple of charitable exemption requests and a couple of I've changed some veterans tax credits. And I think I have one elderly exemption. So he's gonna take a look at that, but he's almost ready for me to print the tax commitment. Your next meeting isn't until June 12th, and rather than having the tax bills go out like the 15th or something, I think I'll run the commitment the week of June 3rd and have you guys come in and then just put it on the consent file for June 12th, because there's no decision to make. It's half of last year's actual. So it's just signing the commitment, getting it to her so she can import it and print the tax bills and get them out,
Okay,
just so you know.
that's a good thing.
That's all I have.
Appointments. I know we had this for 5, but we're ready now.
You could finish the rest of the agenda, or you can do your.
All right,
appointment now.
let's get through this so we can concentrate on that. The old business, the New Hampshire DOT project 29597. We are still scheduled for June 12th, and we're just waiting for information. Planning board.
I failed to make my second meeting.
Did you
It
make
didn't
it?
get on my calendar, and I think on Tuesday morning I read the minutes and said, what?
No.
So I do apologize.
Was that the meeting where they did the lot line adjustment?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
So it was a very small lot line adjustment.
yeah, yeah.
11 minutes.
Conservation Commission.
So you said you'd review their draft minutes. I did just want to point out to you, in their draft minutes, that they made a motion to waive the certificate of insurance for the school district, which I do not have on file here. So somebody from the school wanted to do a field trip out in the town forest. And Kevin Tilton was running the meeting because Kathy was not available, and I don't know if they made a motion. I can't remember if they made a motion to waive the certificate of insurance, but
I think he just decided it wasn't
yeah.
necessary.
So I would just say that that is a selectman's policy for the town, and maybe he doesn't have the authority to waive that. And if you want to waive it, it should come back to the board to waive, because heaven forbid one of those kids on a field trip gets hurt in the town forest.
Well,
Didn't they have coverage through the school, or?
Yes, but generally we require that everybody, like when
they name us as co-insured.
right, the model airplane used to use our town forest, and the farmers all have to have certificates, and anybody who rents this building from us has to have that's kind of a requirement of our insurance,
That
is
Primex requires that.
that
Okay.
anybody that we're allowing to do this stuff lists us as an additional insured and gets us a certificate. Randy Leach, who does our maintenance, they have to have a certificate of insurance, and
So what, just curious, why is this different than someone just going hiking in the town forest? Because anybody can go in the town forest.
right, but this person came in Heidi Belle Isle for the use of the town forest for a school field education trip. So that's different. That's like having a wedding here, you know, and our insurance company insures us for things that we're doing. Like, we open the town forest to the public, you can use it or not use it at your own risk.
Right.
When you run a field trip, you're bringing kids and they're under your jurisdiction, not ours, and not at their own risk. They're being brought here, and they're all minors. When we have a wedding here, if they do alcohol, they have to prove that they have that bartender's license, you know, because that kind of takes us off the hook as a second insured, not a first.
And the farmers have equipment and stuff out there, and if the kids ever got hurt on it, is the school insurance gonna renege on their coverage, because that may be proved to be negligence
I mean,
on our part or the farmers?
You could waive the requirement for a certificate of insurance, but I don't think he can.
I don't think he has the authority.
Because then I would go back to Primex and say, what's our exposure on this, and how do you feel about it? Because
That's where I'd like
That's
to
where
go.
we'll start, yeah.
Because it sounds, you know, it sounds like it's just a hike in the woods. It's not actual class. It's gonna be one, take a walk, and I think it's a wonderful thing that they're doing it. So
Oh, yeah,
I hate
no,
to
I
make, yeah, I don't wanna put them through hoops to,
I think a call to Kevin Richards over at the SAU office, it could be faxed over to
Yeah.
the
See
thing.
how he feels about it.
Shouldn't be hard to get.
I think
It
that's-
doesn't cost them any extra on their insurance.
Well, it's a done deal now. I'm
Yeah.
just concerned that he start waiving certificates of insurance on a regular basis, because I'm not allowed to do that. I have to get one from
Right.
all these people that rent this building.
Okay.
And our insurance company won't allow us to rent this building out without a COI.
Who's the chair of the school board?
It
Well, no.
was Sorgi, but he resigned, so
Yeah,
I don't
no, I
know
know.
who it is now.
Well, no, I was gonna say, would it be prudent to talk to Kevin Richards and just have us on an annual basis named as co-insured on their insurance for this particular?
I think
And then it's a no-brainer and it's done.
great idea. Yeah.
I mean, I'll call,
I welcome them using
I'll
it.
call Kevin and ask him
Yeah.
if you want.
I know that in the past, they've talked about doing different training out there at the
Right.
fields and.
Exactly.
nature
No,
walks and things.
we've allowed them to do that many times, but we've always required them to.
Do you wanna do that?
I'll call Kevin and see if
It
it
should
can be
be.
done.
But going
You could-
forward on this, we should,
We
should
should,
the wave.
we
come
should
through
let Kathy Ryan is the
Debbie Ryan's
chair.
the chair.
Let Kathy know our feelings on that and bring it to her board and, or her commission.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't aware that we
Oh,
controlled.
no, I agree, I agree. But if you have an accident out there, it's too late to do anything about it.
No correspondence, no public comment. That's all I have. Okay. Mr. Schultz,
Yes, sir.
what's the F stand for? I just have F Schultz. Or would you like to preserve Mr. Schultz?
Fred?
Whatever you guys wanna use is fine with me. I think we're all from the same world.
We are. We need to address some problems that have come to our attention. I'm going to let the town administrator walk us through this because she's been in contact with the attorney, she's been in contact with, the different parties, and if you don't mind doing that, Kelly.
So in 2020, Mr. Schultz submitted 2 building permits, one to replace an existing 16 by 24 shed on an existing foundation, and one to repair/replace a existing bunkhouse. So both of those permits were signed by the then chairman, Rick Highland. They were approved by the then building permit administrator, Peter Carboni. Mr. Schultz, according to Mr. Schultz, he had time to do the shed build. When the bunkhouse permit came, so the bunkhouse did not get done in 2020. He subsequently submitted a building permit to do the bunkhouse again, same exact permit, basically, to repair or replace the bunkhouse in 2024. When the new building permit administrator and I looked at it, we noticed that the bunkhouse was really close to the property line, so there was a question about the building permit administrator questioned me. I called Mr. Schultz. Yes, it's close to the line, but it's a pre-existing, non-conforming use. But at the time, we pulled the property cards for that, and we realized that the 24 by 16 by 24 shed actually appears to be a 24 by 16 cabin, and in addition to it's actually, our assessor has it listed as 25 by 16, plus it also has an 8 by 16 deck, which was never mentioned on the original permit. And the assessor notes that he believes it has a kitchen and a bathroom in it, and that's how it's being assessed. So, you guys know that we can't have, our zoning prohibits more than one residential, and there is an existing 3-bedroom camp on the property. So this cabin is an addition, and the bunkhouse would be another addition. So, I talked to the town attorney. Basically, the cabin is an unpermitted use. That is not what you approved in a building permit. And the bunkhouse, you can't make the property more non-conforming. So if you approve a building permit now for the bunkhouse with this existing cabin, now it's even more unconforming. So that, you aren't even allowed to do that in our zoning. You would have to send him to the zoning board of adjustment, and it's unlikely that he'd be successful there because, again, it's more non-conforming. So this has to be addressed.
Okay, thank you, that was very well done.
Oh, and I also spoke to New Hampshire DES. In 2020, they did a clarification of regulation requirements for new construction and expansion of existing buildings. And so it appears that even if the pre-existing non-conforming bunkhouse does get a permit at some point after dealing with the cabin/shed, he's going to have to go to DES for either a new septic system or a letter from DES stating that what he has is sufficient for what he has, because that's a remodel of a structure that's over 20, because both Mr. Schultz and our assessor said that that pre-existing bunkhouse was probably built in the 1950s. So it's way before the 20 years. So I have a copy of that DES. Okay.
It says, except as otherwise permitted, non-conforming structures located within the protected wetland shores can be repaired, renovated, or replaced using kind modern technologies, provided the result of the existing foundation, design or interior design or an existing foundation, but shall not result in any expansion of the existing footprint except authorized by the department pursued in paragraph 2.
So that's the Shoreline Protection Act. What I have is what DES sent me last week, and that is ENVWQ 1004.22, which is the expansion, relocation, remodeling, or replacement of existing structures. And
This is DES right here.
yeah, and so is this. And so they're not gonna be able to sign off on a building permit unless you get DES to state that that 1,000 gallon holding tank meets the requirements, because they said they don't even approve 1,000 gallon holding tanks. The smallest they approve is 2,000 gallons. And that the bunkhouse will be rated at 60 gallons per bed. So when and if you do a building permit for the bunkhouse, you have to tell us how many beds it's going to hold, because they calculate that as indirect or direct usage. So if you're using indirect usage, would be you're using the bathroom in the cottage, or you're using an outhouse, that's an indirect use. If you're putting a bathroom in the bunkhouse, then that's a direct use.
So why is this certificate, when I bought the property, list the bunkhouse on the property with a septic system that's signed by the state?
Don't know. But if you can get a letter from,
All of a sudden it's.
So that's what the DES, if you can get them to say everything's.
I already have it, it's already here, I already got I got it when I bought the property.
that's just a copy of the Shoreline Protection Act.
Excuse me?
Is that an
You-
actual permit?
But the bunkhouse wasn't in use then,
The site assessment,
and there was no cabin.
put the cabin aside for a minute, and it's not a cabin, it's a shed. And if you guys, and I don't like being called a liar, personally, I don't like being called a liar. I don't lie to people. If I say it's gonna cost $6,800, it's gonna cost $6,800. I'm a builder, I've been doing it for 42 years. That building was built with all my stuff that I had left over on projects, and that's what it cost to build it. If you're assessing me for 3 years, $52,000, and all of a sudden it's a problem, you guys should have brought this up a long time ago. Okay, 3 years have gone by and all of a sudden it's an issue. That cabin's used once a year by my 87-year-old mother.
But does it have a kitchen and a bathroom in it?
There's a bathroom in there.
Did it have that?
And there's an old cesspool there, and there's an old underground refrigerator on the property.
Did it have that before when it was a
Yes.
shed? So that's been a kitchen and a bathroom for how long?
I have no idea.
Since you purchased it?
All I can tell you was a cesspool there, so I don't know what was there at what point. I have pictures of what, before I started, there was footings there. I've been told that was a cabin there or something there. I don't use it as a cabin, except my mom comes up once a year or twice a year, that's it. So if you guys have an issue with the bathroom, fine, but don't tell me that I can't, that it's a cabin when it's not a shed. I have 4 properties on my property in Lee. It's a 16 by 24 posting beam made by lumber that came off my property for 0 money. The windows cost me money and the metal roof cost me money, that's it. If you're assessing me $52,000, great, you guys are making money. I'm not, but I built it for $5,700 as a matter of fact.
Go ahead, Rick.
Question, why did you?
And one more thing, shame on the building that's telling me that the selectmen at that time, which you were on the board, don't bother with anybody down there. They don't wanna bother with people down there. That's what I was told by the bill, and I wanna get him in here because I wanna have him lie in front of
He's
you.
in Florida, he moved away.
That's what I was told, quote unquote. We don't bother with anybody down there, issue the permit.
Right now, that's hearsay, but you submitted a building permit that said.
I resubmitted a building permit that you already issued.
We're talking about the
Wait, whoa, we're talking, what are we talking about? The cabin?
You talk to either one, I don't care which one you want to
Let's
talk
do
about.
one at a time to keep
Yep.
it less confusing. You submitted a application for building permit to, repair or replace a shed.
Yeah,
The shed was replaced, the
Yeah.
bunkhouse was repair or replace.
right.
So the shed,
So
So
we're
the
talking
sh-
about the shed.
The shed is a
16 by
replace.
24 shed.
A shed is not a cabin.
You can call it whatever you wanna call it.
it's a living area, living area.
Well, then I'll take the bathroom out of it. That's what you guys wanna do.
Well, that's
I
what
don't
we're
care.
trying to figure out what the solution in here is, and what we're up against is it's not permitted. So what do we do?
I got a 16 by 24 by 8-foot high building that you know what you do? You do the same thing every other town does. You ask for a set of plans before you issue a building permit. That's what you do. That's what you do. Every other town that I've dealt with asked for a set of plans. You did not. And you're telling me that's not a shed? Well, it's a shed in my eyes. I get pictures of sheds on my property. And they're called sheds in the town of Lee. And they're exactly the same as what's over there, post and beam. 16 by 24.
But there's more to it than that. There's kitchen, there's bathroom.
Take it out.
There's a deck.
There's a,
You
there's what?
didn't, there's an 8x16 deck
I'll
with
take it
lawn
off.
chairs on
I'll take
it.
it off if it's a problem.
Well, that's what we
Deck
need
and
to
a
decide,
bathroom
what
and
the
kitchen
actual
and a-
problem is, and then
Want
come
to
up
take
with
it
a
off, we'll take
solution.
it off, whatever.
We just have to make sure that everything is fitting into the
That's fine.
zoning and.
That's fine. I'll come in and ask for a permit, put it back on again later, whatever.
See, that's the problem. The problem is that you have people in here every day asking for permits for tiny houses, and that's extensively what this
As a
is.
second unit on the
As a
property.
second unit on one buildable
And
lot.
it's not allowed.
And you don't allow it. And so this becomes discriminatory if you don't allow it for Joe and you allow it for Mr. Schultz. If he takes the bathroom and the kitchen out and he still lets somebody live in it even once a year, it's a residential building.
First of all, you gotta define residential, okay? The town of Albany is calling those cabins. That's not a resident, that's not a permanent resident. A resident is where you live and you get mail. I don't have, if you wanna start giving me electricity down there, you wanna start giving me water down there, you wanna start making that a resident, great.
You can't put water and sewer and utilities down there because you have to go through the National Forest. And the National Forest will not allow it. They've tried that. That's why everybody down there is on generators and wells.
I get it, but you know, you're calling a duck a goose.
Well, no, that's a cabin in my book,
Yeah.
in my eyes.
People don't spend the night in a shed, especially not
Well, then nobody
87-year-old
has to
people.
spend the night there.
Well,
It's got
no.
furniture and junk in it right now. Want the bathroom taken off and the deck taken off, so be it. That's what you wanna do, fine.
Well, that's where we're gonna be headed.
Yeah, so we need to,
But give me my tax money back.
Go ahead, Rick.
I make a motion to authorize the town attorney to draft a letter, a cease and desist letter, with a 30-day deadline, okay, to remove the cabin.
That's a dangerous precedent you're setting right there. Because it's gonna end up in court, because it's not a cabin.
Don't let fear and common sense stand.
You can call it a cabin all you want.
What does,
We'll let a judge.
where does your definition?
The bathroom goes, if the bathroom's gone and,
No,
But they're there now.
then what is it?
It's a cabin. They're there now. There's living area, there's a bathroom, there's a kitchen. How's that a shed? Please don't treat us this way. We may be small town hicks, but we're not ignorant.
I'm not a small town hick, I live in Lee, New Hampshire. I'm not a small
That's
town hick.
wonderful for Lee, but we're in Albany, and we gotta do what's good for Albany, and this is what's good. We have an ordinance, we have to adhere to it. That's what we
I
do,
mean, you did not build what you put on that application, period.
and that's
That's the way I
simple
look at
fact.
it.
What is a
Changed
shed?
my mind.
Is a 16 by 24 by 8 foot structure, what is a shed?
It's actually 25 by 16.
I'll measure it and,
I mean, I haven't been out there to measure it, I'm only going by the town's assessing documents. It's a 25 by 16 with an additional, was it 8 by 16 porch on it, basically. And it's got a beautiful picture in the assessing records. It looks to me like a camp. You know, and our job is to do what the legislative body at town meeting tells us to do. And we can't allow that to happen. Does it happen and people get away with it? I'm sure people try to get away with everything.
so the house is built down on the river, has got a permit and that's approved? That's a big problem now.
Which house?
There's a big house right down on Johnson Development.
If you give me the address or the owner's name,
Yeah.
we'll enforce the code on them too, but.
Yeah, I mean, we're
nobody's complained about that.
picking on just one person. Anybody that's been brought before us that has a question like this, we'll look into and take care of it. And we'll do it in the exact same way. You know, but I signed a building permit application that says different than what you've built. Plain and simple. That's where I'm standing.
That's right.
Nothing personal.
I don't think it's personal,
Yeah,
but I
no,
just, you know, you're asking me to take down a building and you're calling, what do you want a shed to look like?
Well, and I asked, what's your definition between shed and cabin? When does a shed become a cabin?
When you live in it. When somebody spends the
And
night
that could
in
be
it.
one night or,
Yeah, you can't camp. You don't even allow, even RVs can only be here on property for 60.
in Lee. That's a sugar house, but that's a shed in my property in Lee. That's a shed in my property in
and
Lee.
they all have kitchens, bathrooms, and beds?
No,
No?
And decks.
Okay.
but,
Does this one have a kitchen, bathroom, bed?
yeah, and I just said, what could, if I remove the bedroom, if I remove the bedroom, bathroom, and bed, it's a shed again, so what's the problem? You want me to rip the whole building down because you want me to take out a bathroom and a bed?
We want you to conform with the zoning, which means it can't have two houses
I agree.
on.
Okay, so take
that's,
out the bedroom,
that's what we're
bathroom,
trying to address.
take out the bedroom, bathroom, and
So we want to have our attorney look at it to make sure that we're doing the right.
You will have 30 days to turn it into a shed. And you'll need a building permit to put up a shed.
excuse me?
You'll need a building permit to put up a shed.
I'll have 30 days to do what?
To remove it or to build a shed there, or turn it into a shed.
You want me to remove the building to use your permit?
No, or turn it into what it was supposed to be.
Thank you,
That's,
thank you.
that's what I'm looking for.
thank you.
But it has to be what your original application showed. And
Thank
that's
you.
what it should be anyway.
Thank
And
you.
I think that's
fair.
But we're gonna have the attorney look at it to
Yeah.
make sure everything that's okay to do, because it sounds okay to me, but I'm no attorney. I'm trying to be
It
fair
also
with
needs to
this.
be 24 by 16 and have no deck. That is
Yeah.
not, neither of those, it was not 25 by 16 and it had no deck.
So do we need to go through the planning and zoning boards to make sure that what,
No.
in the end result
The
is?
planning board doesn't have any jurisdiction over
Can the
that.
zoning board make an exception for the foot?
They can't make exceptions that violate our ordinances.
He could get an after-the-fact permit for a 25 by 16 shed.
Or
That's what I'm-
or
yeah.
variance.
That's sort of, yeah, but it just,
No, it's not a variance.
It's not a
because
variance, but
it'll take 3 months to get before the zoning board.
But he can do it after the fact.
You could do an after the fact permit because now it's an as-built, because
Right.
he didn't build what he said he was going to build.
That's fair, Kelly.
We can get a, you know, I'm trying to give us all an out on this thing, you know, and let's get it back to where it's supposed to be. But we need to have a set time, like Rick said, I mean,
I don't do anything without deadlines.
yeah. Or significant progress, I would be happy with. Oh, and that's not completely up to me, because it's a three-man board. But to get out of this whole mess, let's find our way through it. And I think if we go back to the original application and what you requested, I don't know why that wouldn't be a problem. And then we have to muddle our way through the other structures on the property. But let's take this,
And if you're gonna go that route, I would say that we would need permission from you for probably Dave, to be able to witness what you've turned it back into.
I can give you some advice off the record.
You're on the record because it's being videoed.
Okay, well then, on the record, off the record, whatever you want.
We can't enter your property without permission.
I was told, no, you can enter my property without permission, you absolutely can. That's curtilage, you're allowed to, the assessors are allowed to do that. But, under the Fourth Amendment, you're not allowed to look at the windows. And that's what you did.
And I don't know for sure that
We don't know.
happened. I just
Yeah,
said it because I don't know how he knows.
Well, you
He
made
might
that
have,
comment.
he might have seen a gas tank outside. I don't know how he knows it has a kitchen or a bathroom.
The assessor-
But
I'm
somehow,
not-
he determined
Kelly, I'm
that
not
it
saying to be rude.
No, I want
I'm saying it
to
because-
speak right up. I'm the one that said that he might have looked in the window. I'm very sorry, I misspoke. I don't know for sure that Jason did that.
Because that, I don't wanna start anything, trust me. I'm here to work with everybody.
Yeah,
You know, it
just
is
do
what
the
it
right
is.
thing and move forward.
But
So you have to make a decision on the bunkhouse permit tonight because the 30, you have 30
Wait
days.
a minute, we have a motion on the table.
Yeah,
Mr.
Let me
Chair.
move the motion.
I second it.
Call for vote.
all in favor?
Select, you want me to reread it?
No,
Okay.
aye.
I didn't hear what you just said.
We just voted on having our attorney write the letter.
Okay, okay.
And that starts the path. That makes everything nice and clear and
It's a
concise.
tough, you know, that area down there is a tough spot to be on, it really is. I mean,
I grew up on that road, not in that development, but further down the road.
oh, you got the 50-50 rule with the DES, you have to go by their, all their rules, 50-50, you can't cut trees, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you know, it's a tough position to be in. And then there's weather, the bunkhouse that was there, the storm this winter, it's not there anymore.
So do we do the bunkhouse too tonight?
You have to do the
Yeah, we
bunkhouse
need to.
because you have to approve or deny a building permit within 30 days and today is the 30th day.
Yes.
So
So I make a motion to
Go ahead.
deny
Right.
the bunkhouse building permit
without prejudice,
without prejudice.
pending the resolution of the shed/cabin.
Correct.
And also, well, also I'd include in there some kind of a correspondence from DES regarding the,
Yeah, we need to get.
whether it needs a septic system or not.
Or if it's,
That's not our decision to make, but I certainly would,
I don't even care about the bunkhouse, honestly, just forget about it, forget it. I'm just gonna build a pergola or something there, I'll just put something there that, if I need a permit for a screen house, tell me what I need a permit for a screen house. I'll put a screen house there.
right, no,
It's not, you know, because of what happened this winter, it's just too much risk for me anyways, you know? And that's
well,
why,
we have to operate within the laws of the state. And some of this is more a formality than anything else.
yeah, well, the DES says one thing, you know, they
Right.
say, yeah, you can build it, yeah, you can do this.
We
yeah,
have
you
no
can do that.
control over what DES can do or don't do.
And it's on
The
the
thing
plan
is,
by the
we can,
DES, so it's just not,
we
to me,
can-
it's not worth building it at this
right,
point.
we could judge whether you get a building permit depending on what they say about what's required for any kind of septic or wastewater disposal.
And being so close to the Swift River, it's in a floodplain, and it's affected by the shoreline
Technically,
stuff.
you're allowed to do it though, because you
Right.
can build on an existing footprint.
But from a liability standpoint for the town, I would like some kind of okay in writing from DES that says you can do whatever they say you can do. That's all.
So we're back here again.
Do we stick with the motion, or do we just let the
No.
permit die?
No.
Because he doesn't want to do it
no,
anymore.
You have to
We
deny
have
or
to
approve
deny
that
it.
permit tonight.
Legally.
All right, so we
From a
have that
legal
motion
standpoint.
and seconded.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
But the biggest thing you did do wrong, and I'm being friends here, I'm not being, you issued a permit already, Rick, you shouldn't have. If there was an issue with a bunkhouse and septic systems and stuff,
We didn't issue a permit. We
you
just-
did.
No.
You didn't.
I have it in my file, you did issue a
But
permit.
it's
Right, but it
expired.
expired.
Well, that's okay, but you still issued a permit.
To
Predicated on the
repair,
fact that you were
to
building a
repair
shed.
or replace.
A bunkhouse.
Right.
And now you're saying you won't issue it. So you're.
Because the shed that you said you were going to build is not a shed.
Until the shed is corrected.
We're
not gonna-
going on
And
what our town attorney has advised us to do.
What I'm trying to say right here, right now, is, hey, listen, I'm compromising. You issued a permit, Rick. You gave me a permit to build a bunkhouse. I don't wanna build a bunkhouse. Cut me some slack on the damn,
We're not denying
Whatever.
the bunkhouse.
Huh?
We're not denying the bunkhouse, we're denying it now until we can get the other stuff straight.
We denied it without
That means you can
prejudice.
revisit it.
Okay, which means you can legitimately come back and reapply.
Once
This is the last day.
the cabin is
Conforming.
conforming, then we move forward with the bunkhouse. This kind of puts it on hold until everything's done.
And this is
properly.
per advice from our town attorney.
Right.
He's very good at this stuff.
And it's not taking anything away, it's just giving you what you originally came in looking for. And that's the only way to do it.
I reviewed a bunch of meeting minutes from the selectmen over the years. And I've seen a lot of things on the selectmen meeting about Johnson Development. Okay? And I'm gonna tell you right now, as I'm looking at 3 right now, nothing has changed. There's still campers down there. There's still more than one camper per lot. And they're still doing the same crap they were doing 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And you go over here, busted my chops on something like this. That's all I'm saying, okay?
I don't think we're busting your chops. I think we're just trying to.
Something was brought to our attention and we're just addressing.
We don't go,
But between you
we
and I.
don't go
for
patrolling
3
the
years,
roads looking
yeah.
for things. If it comes to our attention, we
We
address
don't
it.
have a code enforcement officer.
And we don't
We
drive
wouldn't
around
have
looking
even
for
caught it
things
now
like
if you
this.
hadn't had to apply for a new permit.
I
and
mean,
we
if you
looked at
find that people are down there doing
If you
things
wanna
like
be
you've
that
done,
person to
you
bring
bring it to our
I
attention.
don't care what they do down there. I'm just saying that you gotta, you
can't turn a blind
got an assessor going around and doing this, doing that. Well, maybe somebody ought to go and do some research on what he assessed.
Well,
Because if he would have done that, he would have said 3 years ago, hey, listen, there's a
Exactly.
cabin over here,
I agree,
okay?
I agree.
That's all I can say. He should have caught it 3 years ago, not taxed me on it for 3 years and say, oh, by the way, Mr. Schultz, you can't do that. But even though I took your money, you can't do that. Well, give me my money back.
but you didn't do what you said you were gonna do on the application.
And
We're all
you-
at fault here,
So-
Rick. We're all at fault.
I-
And you
I'm
let
not at
somebody,
fault.
you let somebody stay in it for 3 years, so you had the advantage. We
Nobody
weren't
stayed in it,
taxing you.
Kelly, that's the problem.
You just said your 87-year-old mother stays in it once
I have an 87-year-old
a...
mother stayed in it twice, okay?
God.
You know what? We were way ahead 3 minutes ago. We should have just,
Let's not back up.
because I've given what I can give.
Okay. So if I wanna do something, I gotta wait for a letter from your attorney before I do anything?
So we know exactly what it needs to happen.
Yeah.
And I asked for your attorney's name and stuff, and she said she wasn't allowed to give it to us.
Right, that's.
So how did my attorney work with your attorney then?
Down the road.
Our attorney takes a phone call, we get charged. you can't encumber a
Okay,
charge
I
on
get
the
it.
town.
Okay.
So that's why that's like that. So, it goes through us. If there's a question, we approach it. So if your attorney has questions,
And, well, when you get a letter from our attorney,
Yeah.
your attorney at that point can respond to that letter.
Okay.
yeah, that would start that chain.
And just for something you guys talked about earlier, it's none of my business, but you know, there's like the town forest. We have a farm in Lee, we have a lot of people come visit it, and they ride on there. And the simplest way to alleviate that is if you can get the school to give you a release form, already probably knows.
Well, no, you get the school to name the town of Albany as additional insured on their
But
policy.
sometimes, Rick, when that happens, it opens up a can of worms of discrimination. You're discriminating against Joe, but you're not discriminating against this guy. If you get a release, party's over, you know what I mean?
The public that uses that property, we're protected by state law. And you as a private property owner, me as a private property owner, are covered by the state law
Yeah.
with regards to that. This is a school class in the Conway School District that wants to use the property for whatever. We have no problem with it, we just wanna make sure that we're.
Releases work great, that's all I'm saying. They work great for us.
No, I-
You know, it's simple, it's easy.
But they have to be, you know, I'm very familiar with releases, and indemnification type of stuff. They have to be executed properly or they're not worth anything in court,
Yeah.
and I can assure you that.
Well, I appreciate your time. Tell Kelly I said hi. Paige.
Okay.
I'll wait to hear from your attorney and we'll take it from there.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Fair enough, thank you.
All right, move to adjourn. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.